Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Wright Brothers podcast. It has been a while. John, where have you been?
It has been a while. Where have you been, dude?
Yeah, no, really,
Yeah,
really,
that's
it's
the
my
real
fault. I've
question.
been gone. Sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies to the fans. I know it's been a while, and you guys have probably been pining for us in our absence, but we're back. And not only are we back, baseball is back.
Baseball is back.
I'm so
And
excited.
it's especially nice that you're back and your voice isn't all, gravelly, because we have you in person for once instead of over the phone.
No, you mean we have you in person, John. It's on my computer that we do this. Just throwing that out
Subtle
there.
humor is lost upon this man. Anyways, yes, baseball is back, and we're looking forward to it, because baseball lasts forever, and we can talk about it forever.
Exactly. During the dog days of summer, when you just want to kind of wake up in the morning and, maybe turn on the TV and just lie there gazing into nothing for a while, baseball is there for you.
Yes, and the highlights.
And highlights. There's
If
lots
you don't
of highlights.
want to sit for 4 hours watching a game, you can just watch the highlights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what most of our listeners will do. And that's fine.
Yeah, which is fair. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Hopefully try and get out to a Nats game at some point, at least one this summer.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Plus, if the Nats are going to be in the World Series, we have to go to those.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'll just drop out of school if they're in the World Series. I will just come back for a week.
Hashtag worth it.
Hashtag worth it. Hashtag 2015? It's 2015.
It is 2015.
All right, so
We're on top of things here.
the point of this podcast is not for us to talk about the Nationals yet. We will get there. But we're going through division by division and running through each and every team in the Major League Baseball. The Major League Baseball. John, why don't you explain
It's
our
just
ranking
one little
system?
baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of going with our theme here of what we like to do by going through all the teams briefly and saying what we think about each of them.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that with baseball now. And so in terms of how we're going about the order, we're going to start in the NL West. We're going division by division. We'll go West, Central, East, and then the same thing with the AL. So I guess that starts us off today with the NL West.
Yep.
Yeah, and so in terms of teams within the divisions, we're going to go in reverse order of how interesting we find them.
Yes, and so we are going to start with the least interesting team in the NL West, and that would be the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I guess, they're not very interesting.
They are not, and it's too bad. I used to really
judgment.
like them.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the Diamondbacks, what do you think of?
You think of the snake.
Fair.
Do you think of
I think
witches?
I think of the 2001 Randy Johnson and
Yes.
Kurt Schilling combo.
The poster I have in my bedroom, that one.
Yeah, probably the greatest 1-2 combo that I can remember.
Yeah.
Ever seen pitch.
The Phillies might argue, but I think that's definitely true.
Yeah, but I guess, so what that means is they haven't really done anything since then.
No, they really haven't.
2001 was a long time ago.
Yeah, no. Paul Goldschmidt might be the best player they've had since, I don't know, Luis Gonzalez.
Yes, that's the first person I want to talk about is Paul Goldschmidt. I don't think a lot of people know about him.
No, I don't think so either.
Which is weird.
Well,
Baseball.
it's not that weird. He plays in Arizona and they stink.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah, no one cares about the Diamondbacks. Hence why they're at the top of our list.
Yes.
But Paul Goldschmidt's really, really good. He actually finished second in the MVP voting 2 years ago.
Despite how bad the Diamondbacks have been recently.
Yeah, so that's quite an accomplishment. And he was doing really well last year as well, but then he got injured. I think he broke his hand or something and missed a bunch of the year. He's ranked the number 2 first baseman in baseball by the Baseball Tonight crew.
Mm.
So
good for him.
Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on in Arizona.
Yeah.
Maybe someone the Red Sox or Yankees will pick up.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so that's a strength definitely for this team is Paul Goldschmidt. And they have some more right-handed power. You got Mark Trumbo in there. He just strikes out a lot.
Yeah, I don't like Mike Trumbo. He strikes out a lot, and he's a terrible fielder.
Yeah, but he can hit the ball. When he does hit the ball, he tends to hit it far.
When he hits the ball, it goes far.
There you go. Sort of a Jim Thome kind of guy. But other than that, so that's the strength of this Diamondbacks team. But what's more glaring...
AJ Pollock's okay. But other than that, that's all they have in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Pollock is like Pollock the fish. It's it's okay, but I wouldn't want to eat it for dinner every night. I wouldn't want to have to watch him play baseball every night.
I like that analogy.
All right. So moving on to some weaknesses, and there are several weaknesses in this Diamondbacks squad. The first thing for me is starting pitching, because that's what everyone has been talking about, is how they're going to have a terrible rotation. And I think there is some cause for optimism. It's just, it might be very, very ugly.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, everyone's got some talent everywhere in their teams. This is Major League Baseball, but when we're talking about comparing to other teams, I think is the best way to evaluate teams. And several people that I read said the Diamondbacks are projected to have the worst rotation in baseball.
Right.
So, yeah, if you don't have a good rotation, it's very hard to be successful. So, yeah, there's a bunch of no names really. The only people that I recognized, I think, when I looked at the rotation, are Patrick Corbin and Bronson Arroyo,
Both of
and
whom are on the
neither.
DL.
Yeah, they're both on the DL,
Yeah.
for a couple months, recovering from Tommy John surgery.
Okay, well, I just want to, just for any Arizona fans we have out there, I want to paint a hopeful picture of the very, very small possibility that their rotation might be good at some point, and maybe just in time to propel them into like an NL wildcard race. So they have their projected top two starters at the start of the season are Josh Collmenter and Jeremy Hellickson. That doesn't sound great. Right, yes, yes. But those both could be very good back of the rotation starters or mid-rotation starters. So, say we get Bronson Arroyo and Patrick Corbin both back midsummer, and they're both healthy, and they both play well, and they both pitch well. Those as your front two, and then they have a ton of good prospects coming up. They got Ruby De La Rosa and Alan Webster from the Red Sox in exchange for Wade Miley, both of whom have been inconsistent. Ruby De La Rosa, they talk about how he doesn't have a reliable breaking ball. And Webster just hasn't really been that impressive, but both of them could be quality starters. And with young pitchers, you really don't know how they're going to change from last year to this year. So I'd say that don't write them off just yet. And also, they have three very highly touted prospects coming up through the minor leagues who might see action in the majors at some point this season. So don't write off the pitching staff entirely just yet. Is what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still not that likely. And again, in terms of comparing to other teams, it's probably like the worst situation of any rotation in baseball.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I agree. And just sort of like a general point about baseball is that it as a sport, there's a lot of turnover year to year and who's
That's
good and
true.
who's not. Like people kind of think about baseball as a sport where just teams like the Red Sox and Yankees dominate every year.
Right.
But that's not really true, actually.
No.
If you
The Giants are the
Look
perfect example of this.
if you look at who makes the playoffs each year, it's
Yeah.
not like dynasty driven. It's not money driven. There's a lot of opportunity.
Hashtag even year. But we'll get there.
Yeah, we will. Giants are coming up. But
Yeah.
before we get to the Giants, we should go over the Colorado Rockies.
Yes. A slightly more interesting team.
Yeah.
They have better colors, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the purple and black. But
most of the time they just wear white.
most of the time they just wear white. But anyways. So the Rockies have not been very good of late. They always kind of start out really poorly, like really, really poorly, and then just have an amazing September, and then still miss the playoffs. That's kind of my impression of the Rockies.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And the one year they made it to the World Series was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
They just like caught fire at the end.
Right, and they have some good players, namely Troy Tulowitzki is probably the best shortstop in baseball at the moment. Certainly the best hitting
I think he's the
shortstop.
consensus number one best shortstop in baseball. Of
Yeah.
course, hitting, he's a really good hitter. He hits
Yes.
like an outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
And he's won Gold Gloves.
Yes.
He's also a really good defender.
So a
Underrated
great player
defense.
who either could carry this team or maybe get traded. One of the two. Kind of depends how they do. And then Carlos Gonzalez.
So yeah, they have star power, the Rockies,
Right.
in their lineup.
Yeah.
I think their lineup just isn't that deep. But
Yeah,
star
it's
power
not.
for sure, starting with Tulowitzki and Cargo, as
Yeah.
people like to call him.
Cargo Go.
Carlos Gonzalez,
Yes.
good right fielder, one of the better ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
But I'd say on the decline age-wise for Carlos Gonzalez, so this might be the last year where we see him be an impact player for this particular Rockies squad. I've been hearing trade rumors circulating about Carlos Gonzalez.
oh yeah, when you have a team
Yeah.
that's not expected to be a contender and they have strong assets like that, yeah, you
Mhm.
expect them to be in trade talks. That's kind of how it works. But I think he's still a top 10
Yeah.
player at his position right now in baseball.
And Justin
and-
Morneau coming up.
Eh.
Used to be good. I remember the days when he was good.
Exactly, used to be good. He's okay.
He's still a good fielder.
He's okay. Corey Dickerson's okay. Nolan Arenado,
Nolan Arenado.
someone to keep an eye on.
Yes, he has been described as by Grantland as a one-man GIF machine or GIF machine, however you say it. He's an amazing fielder.
GIF, yeah.
Yeah, GIF. Yes,
He already had his first GIF play of the season.
exactly. The play of the season according to SportsCenter or whatever. But then there was another one the next day that was the play of the season. So it's hard to take these things seriously.
But yeah, it was basically like the famous Derek Jeter play where he catches the ball sprinting towards the stands and then just hurtles into the stands.
Yeah,
And
Although
then he gets up.
he managed less blood on his face, I think.
Yeah, and then he gets up out of the stands and like throws it, and almost throws
Yeah,
the guy out at third base.
yeah, it was
But
pretty
the
cool.
guy covering third was like so surprised that he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, so Nolan
Yeah,
Arenado is fun to watch. For any Rockies fans out there,
he's won the last 2 Gold
keep
Gloves.
an eye on him. He will probably continue to win Gold Gloves at third base for a very long time.
Yeah, and he's a good hitter.
Yeah,
So there's definitely things to like about the lineup, but it's with the Rockies, it's always that they have like decent hitting and terrible pitching.
which part of which is Coors Field, which is a hitter's ballpark in extreme.
Well, except that they also had one of the worst road ERAs in baseball.
That's something to keep an eye on.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So their pitching staff could use some work, definitely. Considering one of their top projected starters is supposed to start the season on the DL, leaving Kyle Kendrick as your ace, and that is not something that I like.
yeah, it's another rotation with a bunch of nobodies.
Yes.
Tyler Matzek, someone maybe people don't know, he was a rookie last year and he was good. He has potential, but yeah, other than that, there's not much there. They had another reason maybe their ERA wasn't so good. Another thing that's becoming big in baseball is pitch framing by catchers has become like a new
Right.
stat
Mm-hmm.
that's important to look at. You add a lot of value by turning balls into strikes by pitch framing, and along with that stat and just other catching stats in general, they had a guy described again by Grantland as one of the worst catchers of the last decade,
Oh gosh.
Willen Rosario. So it's kind of addition by subtraction by going from him to Nick Hundley.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Hundley can't hit though, so
Yeah.
I don't know how much of an overall upgrade it is for the team.
We shall see.
Yeah.
All right. Also, fun stat. The Rockies will have the oldest player in baseball this year, as their closer, 42
Jamie
years
Moyer?
old. No, not Jamie Moyer. Not anymore. Those days are done. It's LaTroy Hawkins.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
he is old.
So congratulations to them for that. So moving on to the next team, and a team that won the World Series last year, the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, they always win on even years. It's crazy.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
So they win on even years and they stink on odd years, and I don't understand it, and it annoys the heck out of me. I used to kind of like the Giants. Now I can't stand them.
It annoys me too because they also kind of stink on even years, and then they sneak into the playoffs.
They were like
Yeah.
they were like 8 games over 500 or something like that when they won the World Series. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
and they can never. They're like the opposite of the Rockies. They can never hit, but they always have really good pitching.
Yeah, which is
And again, is the case again for both those teams.
exactly. And because it's an odd year and because of the moves that happened in the offseason, I don't see the Giants repeating this year.
Yeah, it's too much defense, not enough offense.
Yes.
Um,
They still have a really good pitching staff.
Yeah.
If you look at the names, Madison Bumgarner, Tim Hudson, Matt Cain, Jake Peavy,
yeah,
Tim
can we
Lincecum.
talk about Madison Bumgarner?
Can we
what
talk
he did
about
last
Madison
year?
Bumgarner?
That was incredible.
I
One
I had no idea what was happening or like who he was until it was like in mid like October, and he was just like striking people out like left, right, and center, and just complete game after complete game and shutouts, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm worried about his like stamina because he also pitched a lot during the regular season.
Right, and the thing is, he wasn't that great of a regular season pitcher.
No, he was. He's been really good over the last couple of years. Let's see. Baseball Tonight says he's the number 3 best left-handed starter in baseball, actually, right now.
All right, well we'll see how that
So
holds
he's
up.
a clear ace.
Yeah.
There's actually question marks in the rotation behind him.
Yeah.
Do you remember like when we talked about the Red Sox and how their approach was just have a committee of guys who could be really good?
We haven't talked about the Red Sox yet.
We did on the last podcast. Remember?
Oh,
with
right.
Dad's
Wow.
question.
Yeah, okay. That was a
Yeah.
while ago. That was like 3 weeks ago. Sorry.
Yeah, I think beyond Bumgarner, the Giants' rotation is kind of the same. It's guys who like have been really good or can be really good.
There's like 3 or
But-
4 former Cy Young candidates on
Yeah.
this list,
Yeah, so it's
but they're all a little older now.
so none of them are like having great things expected of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
The names are Tim Hudson, Matt Cain, Jake Peavy, Tim Lincecum, who have all been really good pitchers.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I don't think most of them had good years last year.
Well, no, they
Hudson did. He's kind of old.
Jake Peavy went after
Yeah,
he was
actually,
traded.
you're right. Jake Peavy had a good year.
After
yeah.
he was traded from the Red Sox to the Giants, had a great year and a great postseason, and they were hoping that he can continue that. And I think I saw through the first 3 starts or whatever, he was like 0-3 with like a 9.8 ERA, so not ideal.
Yeah, and actually, I think the real strength of the team is the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
The rotation, like I said, has some question marks, but the bullpen is one of the best in the majors.
Just
Sergio Romo,
hmm
Santiago Casilla, Jeremy Affeldt are all quality relievers. And they also have Hunter Strickland, who pitched a little bit last year, who can throw 100 miles per hour.
That's always helpful.
You love relievers who can throw in the
Yes,
triple digits.
we do like that.
Yeah. And lineup-wise, there's like nobody who's really above average except for Buster Posey.
Yeah,
To be fair,
who's great.
he's probably the best catcher in the game.
Definitely the best catcher in the game.
Yeah, yeah. And Hunter Pence is decent as an
Hunter Pence,
outfielder.
he's also just fun. I like
Yeah.
Hunter Pence.
Yeah, he's always like acting out. He's kind of silly.
Yeah, although he'll
Kinda-
be on the DL to start the year.
Yeah, that's true. But really not that much to see in the lineup, and I don't see the Giants making the playoffs.
No,
They're off to a slow start. They're 4-9,
it's an odd year.
and
not
yeah, it's
happening.
not here. It's not happening
It's
for
not
them.
happening. Yeah, so
So moving on,
moving on.
a team that it could be happening for, the Padres, made some big moves.
The Padres.
To
We are
put it-
so
to put it
excited for the
lightly.
Padres. They have never spent this kind of money. At least since we've been paying attention to baseball.
I don't think anyone's ever spent this kind of money.
Well,
the
okay.
Dodgers.
The Dodgers and the
Yeah.
Marlins might argue about this. But,
Okay, well, they were definitely the biggest spenders in
Yes.
baseball this offseason.
and it was very surprising and very welcome. We like the Padres here. We have some San Diego connections. Plus, the Padres, they're just lovable. You know, they're
Yeah,
not very good.
who hates the Padres? No one hates the Padres.
Nobody hates the Padres. They're not, I don't know. They're not the Mets, who stink and people dislike them. They're the Padres.
Yeah. I'm not 100% on the bandwagon just yet. I actually didn't like a lot of the moves they make. In my philosophy, I'm usually pretty conservative about going out and spending a lot of money on free
Right.
agents, and which is kind of what the Padres did on big spending on guys with question marks,
Yeah.
which I usually don't like. But my opinion of the offseason kind of changed when they got Craig Kimbrell.
Right, exactly.
Love that
That was a
Yeah.
big move.
Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell is probably the best closer in the game right now.
Yeah, he's, I think, the successor to Mariano Rivera for best closer in baseball title.
And he's
in
still
my
young,
opinion.
is the thing. He's what, 24?
He's older than that. I
Is
don't.
he? Okay. Alright, maybe I'm crazy, but he's very good. He had, let me see, I can't remember the exact stat, but I think he had the best ERA of any pitcher who had ever thrown a minimum of 200 innings.
Oh, you're right. He's 26.
Yeah, he's 26, and he's insanely good. And also, he's got a cool, funky little doodad where he puts his arm up above his head before he throws the ball, and it looks kind of like a weird bird claw. And it's very fun. The fans always make fun of him for it. And it's funny to watch them like all making the weird arm motion as he tries to throw the ball behind home plate. It's really funny.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And he's great.
But you love it when you can get that kind of talent.
Exactly.
Closer, super important position.
Mm-hmm.
You get the best one in the game.
Yeah.
You really can't overpay for that, in my opinion.
No. So that was a great move.
That was a trade actually.
Yeah.
For the Braves,
Mhm.
who not have the best offseason.
No, they've had a pretty terrible offseason. I think they
Yeah.
dealt their two best players away. So
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to the Braves.
we'll get to the Braves.
But for the Padres, they also got a completely new outfield. I think that was the beginning of their spending.
They did. They went all out at the winter meetings.
Yeah, they're a team that kind of like the Giants, but less successful. You know,
Mhm.
good pitching and defense, but no hitting.
Right.
And a lot of that is because of their ballpark. It, I think,
Petco.
is regarded as like the
Right.
most difficult park for hitters. That's debatable, but I would consider it the most difficult park to hit in.
Yeah, but going from an outfield last year with a bunch of nobodies to now having Upton, Will Myers.
That's Justin Upton.
Oh, sorry, that's Justin Upton. Sorry, Will Myers and Matt Kemp. That's much better, and you're probably gonna get a lot more offense from that unit.
Yeah, so that's my question marks with the Padres are, yes, they should be getting offense from those guys, but like Matt Kemp and Will Myers especially are terrible fielders. Justin Upton's okay. And like that huge outfield they have at Petco, I feel like that's going to cost them runs. And fielding is an underrated part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just them; they also downgraded at catcher defensively. We just talked
Getting rid of
about
Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah, we just talked about pitch framing.
Yeah.
Yasmani Grandal and their other guy Rene Rivera last year combined to be the best pitch framers in baseball.
Right.
Yeah, they got a lot of value out of that, and they just downgraded to Derek Norris, who was one of the worst in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the opposite of what the Rockies did. Derek Norris can hit, but they've downgraded their pitch framing.
Right. So basically, they've updated their offensive lineup a lot, and I think that was necessary considering they've been the least exciting and one of the least high-scoring teams in the league for the last several years. I think I saw last year for the month of June or the month of July, one of those months, they averaged as a team 171, which is the lowest team average of any month ever. They've been playing baseball for a long time, John.
They do. They did need to upgrade their offense. I get that. I just wish that they hadn't done it with like several of the worst fielders out there.
Right. But, that can be possibly mitigated by some of their pitching staff. And they made a good signing, in my opinion, although they may have overpaid for James Shields.
Yes, James Shields is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Joining a rotation that already has Tyson Ross, Ian Kennedy, Andrew Kashner. It could be one of the best in baseball.
If they stay healthy.
If they stay healthy,
Yes.
yes. And they also have high upside at the back of the rotation with Brandon Morrow and Josh Johnson. Guys, they haven't been good in like 4 years.
Josh Johnson.
But they have been really good.
Let me put it this way. This is direct from Grantland and then a source that they had from there. Josh Johnson, quote, nope. He's supposedly already become a, quote, honorary coach. And he's basically just hanging around the locker room getting paid $4 million to teach the young guys how to pitch.
Well, that's too bad.
This is too bad because we like Josh Johnson.
The Josh Johnson pickup, though, like, made me think of parallels with the Blue Jays because the Blue Jays, like, way overpaid for Josh Johnson to be an ace.
Right.
Because he was really good.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I kind of feel like the Padres have a little bit of a Blue Jays feel to them.
They do.
They're kind of like nobody, and then they spend a lot on these people.
Uh-huh.
I worry that they're still going to finish in, like, last in the division, or close to it.
I don't think.
They're not as bad as the Diamondbacks and Rockies, but they at least was more competitive.
Yeah.
But I still just don't see them yet as being great. They can be great, but I still have too many question marks to put them above the team who I think is fair to say is the consensus number one.
Right, and we'll get there. But just I want to mention real quick, sort of an issue that might become a problem, especially as you get towards the postseason and teams start getting smarter and they start, throwing different combinations at you. All 5 of the projected starting pitchers and 6 of 8 of the starting lineup are right-handed.
Yeah, I don't really pay much attention to that stuff, but yeah, it is important. The general thinking for handed like pitching and hitting is right-handed hitters do poorly against right-handed pitchers. Right-handed pitchers do well against right-handed hitters. So if you're looking for like matchup, that's good for pitchers.
Right.
So therefore you'd figure the Padres are going to struggle against right-handed pitchers with their hitting
and left-handed
which
hitters.
is 80% of pitchers are right-handed pitchers.
Right.
So
that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, you'd like to see a little bit of balance in the rotation. In the lineup.
Yeah.
With some lefties, but it's not something I pay a great deal of attention to.
All right. Well, just something to keep an eye on. All right. So go Padres, and then I guess we'll move on
to that consensus number one team we were talking about.
Yes,
the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, the highest payroll in baseball by like an insane amount of money. Dodgers.
Yeah, according to Baseball Prospectus, they have the largest payroll in baseball history.
Right. Yeah. It's like, how many more million is it than the Yankees? It's like 40 more million, something like that.
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, they are the new Yankees in terms of spending.
Mm-hmm. If not in success.
Yeah, not yet anyways. They really should be, though. They had 94 wins last year, and they have what you would think is a great rotation for the postseason because Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke, could be the best 1-2 combo in baseball.
Mm-hmm. So here's their. Sorry, I was just looking it up. Their payroll currently stands at $275.9 million, $59.4 million than the runner-up, being the Yankees. That's $60 million more than anybody else they're spending. So they need results.
Yeah, good for them. But yeah, so Clayton Kershaw, the problem is that he just can't beat the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Sorry, did you just say Clayton Kershaw problem? Clayton Kershaw is only a problem for everyone else. Clayton Kershaw is amazing.
Except against the Cardinals in the playoffs. He's, in the last 2 series with the Cards, 0-4, 7.15 ERA.
Yikes. Uh-oh.
So
sound the alarm.
Yeah, it's like the time, for some reason, he just can't beat the Cards. But otherwise, they just blow all the other teams in baseball out of the water.
So he's snake bitten by a bird. How interesting.
I see what you did there.
Because the Diamondbacks are in that division too.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, get out of here.
Yeah, sorry. But he's not the only good pitcher on that staff.
Yeah, I do think they have the most complete roster in baseball.
Yeah. Zach Greinke, another great pitcher. Brandon McCarthy can be good if he stays healthy. Brett Anderson, I don't know much about.
Yeah, so those 2 top starters are aces.
Yes.
Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw, probably the best pitcher in baseball. And then the next 3, I think Hyunjin Ryu actually belongs in the same conversation with Greinke when he's healthy. He was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's injured right now, though, is the thing. And the other guys behind them also have been really, really good. Brett Anderson, Brandon McCarthy,
Hmm.
but are question marks with injury. So it's pretty clearly about health for the second half of the rotation, in terms of whether they're going to be successful or not. But if everything goes well, that's probably the best rotation in baseball. Um,
I don't know about that.
well, sorry,
I'd say the
forgetting. Okay,
Nationals.
sorry, second
Yeah,
best rotation in
second best
baseball.
rotation in baseball.
Yeah, and their lineup is really good too. We like Yasiel Puig in the
Yeah,
outfield. He's a lot
he's
of
he's just
fun.
so much fun to watch. Like I don't
Yeah,
know if I like him.
well, he's fun to
Seems
watch.
like a bit of a jerk sometimes, but
Oh
he's
yeah,
fun to watch.
yeah. Adrian Gonzalez, Howie Kendrick,
Yeah.
those
They made some
quality
great moves this
quality players.
offseason.
They
You know,
they yeah they've done the opposite of what the Padres done, and
right.
they've gone like slight downgrade in hitting, but massive upgrades in fielding, which I like.
And they were already a good defensive team last year, is the thing. And
That's
they
true.
upgraded their worst defensive positions. So now they should be probably one of the best defensive teams in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
I really liked the pickup. They basically got Jimmy Rollins for peanuts, so that was nice.
Well, because he's really old.
Well, yeah, but he was still one of the better shortstops in baseball last year, and especially defensively, he's a monster defensively.
Yeah, as opposed to Hanley Ramirez.
As opposed to Henry Ramirez, who's now going to be playing left field for the Red Sox. Just kind of waiting for stuff to bounce off the monster and hit him on the back of the head.
He is like Manny Ramirez 2.0.
He is so Manny Ramirez. Oh my god, we'll get to that. But also they made some nice moves in picking up Howie Kendrick, and doing some nice little moves. I'm a little annoyed. They picked up a really great prospect from the Marlins, this Sean Heaney guy, this pitcher, and then they traded him for Kendrick, which might be more of a good move for this season because they're trying to win now, considering they're paying so much money. But it's too bad because one of their greatest weaknesses is lack of depth in the starter role. It's like trading away your best pitching prospects is probably not a great move for the future.
No, most of the people I've been looking at are actually pretty bullish on their depth options. If guys like Anderson, McCarthy, and Ryu aren't healthy, and Kendrick is really, really good. He's I think underrated.
That's true. He is
Top 10 second baseman in baseball according to Baseball Tonight.
Mm-hmm. And he will be a free agent this next year, which allows them to slide in this Cuban that they signed.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't have any money.
It's too bad they can't buy pitching every year. You're right. You're right. Yeah. All right. I forgot they're the new Yankees.
Yeah, I don't love the left half of their infield with Rollins and Uribe, but they were good last year. I just worry that they're kind of old. I think Uribe had kind of an outlier year in that he just randomly hit for 300 after being kind of a suboptimal hitter. But that's just question marks. They could be really good.
Yeah.
And I have no question marks about the rest of their lineup really. And
picking up Yasmani Grandal was a great move.
Right, he's that great pitch framer from the Padres.
And he's a good hitter.
And well, he's supposed to be a good hitter. He hasn't really produced as well as he should.
Could be a good hitter. Plus, he's 26. He's not super old.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see what they do. I would love to see another Cardinals-Dodgers rematch in the playoffs.
That would actually be really fun.
Yeah.
As much as I hate watching the Cardinals win every year, it would be fun.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think that pretty much does it for the NL West.
Yeah. No, this is not one of the divisions that I think we really both paid a ton of attention to during the year. We don't really like these teams very much, except for the Padres. They're usually below the waterline of teams that are easy to pay attention to without barfing.
That's why we're getting out of the way early.
That's why we're getting out of the way early. All right. So that does it for the NL West. We'll be coming back to you soon enough with the NL Central coming up. So we'll talk about those pesky Cardinals. And some other teams.
And some other teams.
Go
Cubs.
Yeah, go Cubs. Woo!